All right, this is another Real Talk video, and this is how to transition into a career in tech. You've been taking this Introduction to Tech course, and hopefully you've been enjoying it. If you haven't been enjoying it, it's a good test. It's a good way to step in and see if this was something you wanted, and if you haven't been enjoying it, that's fine. You can move on to other things in your life. But if you've enjoyed this, if you found this work interesting and engaging, well, that's the opportunity to say, okay, maybe I want to make this my career, or maybe I want to do this full time, or maybe I just want to build apps for myself. You've had this free trial. You were able to dip your toes into it and see how it was. And if you enjoyed it, let's talk about your next steps. There's three main paths that you can take. And the first one is college. I'm reluctant to promote college for getting into tech because one, it's just so expensive. And two, it takes a lot of time. It's 4 years. It's so expensive, and it doesn't really get you the return on investment that other things do, such as learning by yourself or a coding school. So I went to college. I did not go to college for programming. I went to college for another trade. I learned that trade and was very successful, but I learned about 6 months worth out of that 4 years. I would say from my 4-year education, you could have compacted it down to 6 months, and I would have learned the same amount. So I wasted 3.5 years and a lot of money, and there were other options available to me that would have been shorter. So another one of those options is teaching yourself. I did teach myself programming. It took me 2 years. I used a lot of free resources online. I didn't really have a clear path to follow. I knew I wanted to get into web development, app development, and so I was looking at a lot of free tutorials. I went through everything with Free Code Camp. It's thousands of hours, and it took me 2 years. So you can do it. It's hard. You won't really have a mentor. It's hard to reach out for help, but it's totally possible to do it on your own. It just takes some time. The third option is to go to a coding school. There are many coding schools throughout the world, like Punch Code, for example. But you could go to any of them throughout the world. The biggest determining factor on whether or not you're going to succeed at a coding school is the instructor. Many coding schools, they have great, testimonials, they look flashy or whatever. You might think this is the place for you, but at the end of the day, you need to reach out to an instructor and see if you get along with that instructor, to see if you like the way that instructor teaches. If you like the way that I teach, you'll really enjoy Punch Code. If you don't like the way I teach and you don't get along with me, don't sign up for Punch Code, because I'm going to be your instructor at Punch Code. But if you enjoyed this and you enjoyed the work that we did together and you found it engaging, I'm the instructor at Punch Code. I'm the one you're dealing with. I'm going to serve as your mentor. I'm going to be guiding you through the pre-work process, the 12-week course, and then finally helping you get a job, teaching you negotiation, applying for jobs, resume building, portfolio building with projects, all that stuff. I'm going to be guiding you along the way. Again, so you want to make sure you can have a good relationship with the instructor. That's the number one determining factor of how you pick a coding school. Now, if I had to go back in time and tell myself, hey, instead of learning all this stuff on your own, you should go to a coding school, well, past me might say to future me, hey, you're biased. You're now working for the coding school. Don't you think that's a little biased? I'm not going to listen to you. Actually, I would give past me some raw numbers, and past me would kind of have to see the light at this point. Like I said, it took me 2 years to learn on my own. My first job, when I was done learning on my own, it was 2 years, almost to the day, I started working for another company as a full-time developer. I made $92,500. That was my salary. That's not including bonuses. That's not including the vacation pay. That's not including the 401k contributions. That's not including the health contribution that they had. I actually made quite a bit of money adding all those things up. But I'm talking about just the straight cash value here, just to illustrate the point. $92,500 was a very good salary. It's one of the best in Las Vegas. So if I went back to past me and said, hey, it took you 2 years to make $92,500, but what if you could make $92,500 in 4 months? And then you would have an extra 1 year and 8 months of making that salary, and add that money up. That's $155,000. Past me would say, well, you had to pay for the boot camp. Yeah, that's $15,000. So that's still $140,000 that you would lose studying for 2 years on your own instead of going to a boot camp. And that's just it for me. And I was like, all right, I went the hard way. I'm passing that lesson on to you. I'm giving you the real talk. I would go to a coding school or a boot camp. Again, it doesn't matter to me which one you go to. Pick one that you like the instructor. But the real talk is, if you can get into the industry and start making money and learning on the job, it's just a better investment. I mean, I literally view it as losing $140,000. That's how I did it. I lost $140,000, probably the biggest financial mistake I've made, just because I went the hard way. And no one did that math straight up to me. I didn't believe in myself that I could learn it in 4 months. But you can learn it in 4 months if you have a good mentor, if you have a good curriculum in front of you, if you can say, okay, this is what we're going to learn, these skills are going to stack on each other, and this is the direct path you need to get into the workforce. And that's what a coding school like Punch Code gives you. They also give you something else that's just priceless, in my opinion, and that's access to a mentor and access to peers. Your peers, if you're in a class of 20 folks, well, if one of them gets a job somewhere, companies tend to hire based on who they know. So if that person's company is hiring, if your peer's company is hiring, they know you and know that you're a good developer and say, hey, my friend's looking for a job. And so that network is really priceless. They also, Punch Code also has a network of mentors and Las Vegas developers who come in all the time and assist and help out. So you get to know all these companies in town, and that's just part of the curriculum. Like I said, I went the hard way. I actually had to start my own meetups. I had several meetups, 3 meetups that I was managing, trying to network and meet people to get my first job, and it worked. I did. I networked, and I got my first job. But it was a lot harder, and it took a lot more time, and it ultimately cost me a lot more money than having it baked into a coding school program and mentorship and peers and all that stuff that comes with it. So going back in time, telling past me, that's what I would do. But my goals for you with this course. The first one is discover if you like coding. And if you do like coding, be happy. Meaning do things that you enjoy with code. Tackle projects that you enjoy. The second thing is I hope you can change your life. This is a world-changing time right now. And if you can change the trajectory of your life from this little free trial of coding that you've been through, and say, you know what, I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna learn these skills. I'm gonna go on in a different path in my life. That's huge, and I'm glad to have been a part of that. My goal for you would be to stop worrying about money. Hopefully you get a job where you don't have to worry about money anymore. So your mind can be free for my third goal, which is solve the world's problems. You're learning to code, and there's a lot in whatever industry you're coming from, you know that there's a lot of problems. Whatever you see in your personal life, you know that there's a lot of problems, and code can fix a lot of these problems. We can automate processes. We can provide better experiences for people. So go out there and solve the world's problems.